Hi, everybody. Welcome back. It's Christine again with Vital Vessels. And today I have a liver recipient with us. Her name is Glenda, and we're going to talk to her about her journey in organ donation. She received a liver about 2 years ago, and she's here with us today. Welcome to Vital Vessels.
Thank you.
Aren't you excited to be here?
I am. I love talking about it.
I do too. And we met at a donor walk a couple of months ago. I was so excited because this idea to talk to organ donors was brand new. And I'm like, organ donors. And then I'm like, I want to talk to the recipients too, because I want to hear about this side of the journey. The emotional ups and downs and the whole process is completely different on a recipient side versus the living organ donor side. So we're going to jump right in and talk to you about this. So welcome aboard and let's get started. So when did you first find out that your liver was in trouble, that you were having some problems?
In 2017, I was really bloated. And had to go get my stomach drained twice.
Oh, okay.
And even then, my doctors were telling me, you need to quit drinking.
Okay.
You need to quit drinking.
Yeah. We are talking openly and candidly about organ donation, and it's a sensitive subject to talk about drinking causing the liver problem.
It is not a problem for me. I will tell my story to perfect strangers all the time. And I've had people just hug me and say, I know I was meant to talk to you today.
Absolutely, because we're saving lives in more ways than one, folks. And I'm so proud of you for getting to the point where you're like, okay, I'm ready. I got to do this. And you turned it around. You changed your life. You got a new liver out of the deal. It's an honor to be here with you. So you find out that your liver's in trouble. How did you get put on the transplant list? Did you get?
Well, even when they drained me, I would have spurts of sobriety.
Right.
But I just couldn't stay sober.
Yeah.
Any little bit of stress in my life, I just didn't know how to deal with it. I didn't have any coping skills coming out of an abusive marriage. We got evicted from our house. And so I went to live with my baby sister in her basement until I could save up enough money for me and my youngest daughter to move out. And I stayed sober a good amount of time living with her. But it was like, let's not talk about it. My kids don't know. They're very LDS. And she was like, she didn't really say, I don't want them to know anything, but it was like not talked about.
Right.
And I think the not talking about it didn't give me maybe a support system that I needed. And at that point, Jenny was over talking about it. She was like, I don't want to do this anymore.
So tell me, as they say, what happened? What changed?
Well, I moved out. I was working 2 jobs, and then I got my apartment in September. By then, I had already relapsed.
Right.
I was drinking secretly.
Yeah.
And I was life-flighted in January. So I went from working 2 jobs, and in 4 months, life-flighted.
Wow. Were you at work when what happened?
No, I was planning on going to work, and I laid down on my bed. I don't remember anything till I woke up at the hospital.
Your daughter found you.
So she comes home with her friend and just finds me, and she calls my oldest daughter, and she's like, I can't wake up Mom. Like, she doesn't want to wake up. And she was like, you know what? I don't have time for this.
So you're up at the university hospital.
Yes.
When did you find out that you needed an organ? Did you go on the transplant list?
No.
Okay. So
they didn't even talk transplant.
Okay.
Like, she's definitely going to need a liver. Like, I don't know if I knew any of that until I was all the way through. After I got released from the hospital, then they sent me to like a rehab.
Yep. To get your walking back, your strength back.
And I get out and we go and see Dr. Krishnamurthy, and she's like, okay. She's like, I think we're going to go ahead with the transplant. And I was just like, what? I was like, really? And she was like, yeah.
Wow.
She's like, I think you've got way too much scarring on your liver.
Oh, okay. So you've got a very scarred up liver.
Okay.
You need a new one. And at that point, did you think transplant, or did you know what you would do, or what was in your mind?
I don't even know if I even thought very much about it, because it was like, you have to get through 6 months of sobriety.
Mm-hmm.
Let's get through that before we even
focus on what
you can't do any testing. You can't do anything
until you're 6 months
until
sober.
you're 6 months.
So when you hit that 6 month mark, was it off to the races, or what? How did you, what was next? What
the whole
happened
6 months?
next?
I'm doing blood work the whole 6 months just to see where I am,
where your bilirubin is,
Yes.
and all the little levels of stuff.
So when I went to the hospital, I was at a 40 plus melt.
Okay, I've heard of that.
The absolute highest. So for me, because it was all caused by alcohol. Over that 6 month period, by the time the 6 months was over, my melt score was like a 20.
Oh, okay. So
but I had so much scarring. Like, your liver will almost replenish and heal all out of it in 6 months.
Yes.
With sobriety. But mine was already.
There's permanent damage. Yeah. So there was some permanent damage. You knew you needed the liver. How did your sister tell you she was going to donate, or did you?
There was never any chat. We never had the conversation.
How did that all come to play?
Like people will ask, and I was always like, let's just wait and see what happens, blah, blah. And she was like, no, it was like a headlock. And she was like, you're taking my liver. And I was like, I'll decide. You don't tell me what to do.
And she said, no, I do, because you're taking me.
Yes.
And you finally said, okay. So
I got through the 6 months. They tested my sobriety the whole time, was getting blood work, and, and then they just kept saying, he's like, I hate to say this, but he's like, your melt score is really low. And he said, we transplant in Salt Lake around the 24 melt score.
Right.
And I was like, okay. So they put me, as soon as 6 month mark, man, they were like, here's all your tests.
Yeah.
Let's start.
Yep. And that started the process to match. And that's when your sister could start.
No.
When did she start?
So they had me do all my testing. She didn't start, I think, until October. And I was put on the list in July.
Okay. So you waited. And it took her how long to get through the testing? A month or two?
Well, we were trying. I was like, well, since I did this in January and I waited for, the brand new medical year insurance reasons.
Oh,
if we can get this all done.
Yeah. Let's do it on this year's deductibles. Let's get
it all done.
Yeah.
And they were like, no.
It's not going to happen that fast.
So she went to do some of her testing in October, and she ended up with C. diff.
So January comes, C. diff is gone. Now what?
I think she started testing like the 7th.
January 7th.
She was
got
like,
right
let's
on
go.
It. Yep.
And she got all her testing done in, I think, a couple days. They will line them all up for you.
Oh, yeah. So they do good.
Yeah, they just do everything back to back.
So then what happens further with your sister? Tell me. She gets all the testing done. Then what?
They do a mold of her liver.
Uh-huh.
They send it off. They said it's going to be weeks and weeks. And then we have to just go over it with a microscope and blah, blah.
Uh-huh.
So we're just waiting and waiting. And I think it only took, I don't know, 3 weeks or something.
Really? Seems like forever.
Well, and I think they said you're a great match. She had some artery kind of weirdness that they weren't super happy about, but they were like, it's doable.
Yeah. How did you hear about her matching you?
Well, they were like, it's great, but they were like, you flunked the psych part.
She flunked the psych part. I'm surprised they didn't flunk.
You flunked the psych part, Jen. And she was like, I don't know. And so they were like, you need to come in and talk to Gilroy. And he was like, you went in and you were like, I'm ready. Let's do it. I don't care what happens. And they were like, you're not taking this serious.
So she goes in, she meets with Gilroy, and then what happens?
And I've heard a lot of people that he rubs them wrong, but they completely hit it off. She is a total smartass. And so he comes in wearing I can't remember what his football team was, and she was like, well, we're not going to get along very well.
Oh, that's funny.
Right from the get, and he just loved it.
I absolutely,
that about her.
I dug Gilroy too. He was
I still have
wonderful.
never met him. I
Yeah.
try to nail him down every time I'm there.
He's wonderful. He was great. So he gave his stamp of approval.
So he was like, let's send you in for the testing again.
Uh-huh.
And I was like, do you need to study? Like, what's happening here?
Right.
I was like, talk to some people in the group and get a real feel for what is about. I'm like, Jen.
Yeah, it's serious. Yeah.
You have a family. You have grandkids.
Yeah.
Like, we can wait. This does not need to be what could be an end of life thing for you. For me, waiting a couple of years when I'm fine. My mail number just keeps dropping and dropping.
Yeah.
They're all like, you're doing great, Glenda. You're our poster child.
Wow.
For sobriety. Like, they raved about me.
But you still got the transplant. What made you make the decision to do it?
Well, they finally, so she goes for a psych test. They were like,
stamp of approval.
You're doing great. And they were like, when do you want to do it? And she was like, well, I'm having a grandbaby.
Uh-huh.
So let's wait till after that so that I can be there for my grandkids. And
so what year was it?
2021.
You had it in what month?
So I was 15 months sober.
Wow.
At the very end of March.
Very nice. March. So you go in the hospital. She goes in first. I know how this works. She went in first because they prep her. And then you get wheeled in. And what's the first thing you remember when you woke up from the surgery?
I just remember thinking, I needed to cough so bad. I had so much phlegm. And then I think I tried to cough and I was like, oh my gosh.
This hurt.
It just tore my body up.
This burns.
And I think I woke up. I was in a good mood. She was kind of gave me the little rundown. She was like, everything went great.
Everything went smooth. And then how soon were you put up on the transplant floor?
Like I don't know, was I down there? I don't even think I was down there a day.
Nice.
But Jenny came in to see me just like in the best mood. And I was like, okay, what kind of drugs are you on?
Yeah.
And she sat there and chatted with me and Randy was with her.
Mm-hmm. So then you go up to the 10th floor, which is the transplant floor.
T10.
T10. How many days were you in the hospital?
3.5.
3.5. You were quick. And so then you get home. Now you said you had 2 jobs and you had 3 kids. Who was helping you during all that time?
Well, Courtney was married.
Yeah.
She wasn't at home. Katie,
your oldest daughter.
Katie didn't live with me.
Okay.
My middle. So it was just me and Navy.
Okay.
So my mom came and stayed with me.
And so you're recovering, you're home, and you're getting better and everything's going normal, no complications.
The only thing I had was something right here. I am not kidding. I thought somebody was stabbing me with a knife.
Really?
I have never been hurt
wow.
so bad.
Yeah.
And I think I had like a little pocket of fluid.
Oh.
And they sent me down and they drained it. And I'm talking, wow, hardly anything. I don't.
Yeah.
Like, why even bother?
Princess and the Pea. Yeah.
But it's teeny tiny. Oh my gosh. Yeah. And then my, besides the glue coming undone and my incision coming undone.
Yeah. Other than that, everything.
Packed that thing for weeks.
It's a little bit of a recovery, isn't it?
6 weeks. We were probably packing that thing. And I didn't walk very well, but I think I went in for my 2-week.
You drove in?
Checkup.
Yourself?
Maybe. Can't remember.
That's breaking the rules.
It's a little foggy.
Yeah.
And I was like, can I go back to work? And they were like, what? And I was like, I just work from home. Sit at a desk. And they were like, we'll let you go back 30 hours a month. So
tell me, now that you have a new liver, how has your outlook on life changed? What's changed because of organ donation?
Well, I mean, it's like I got sober. Along with that, it's completely different.
Yeah.
There's a completely different.
Well, we share in common 12-step recovery. And as I was gearing up for this interview, I understand what January is going to be 4 years sober. Is that right?
Right.
All right. So I went through and I have my 4-year chip. So I wanted to give this to you, and I know it's a little bit early.
Are you serious? I don't have any chips.
But I want to give you my 4-year chip.
Nice.
that I got
I
24
love
years
that.
ago. Okay.
Thank you.
And I want you to hang on to that, because that's what has linked us together. That's what brought us together in this interview, is that I saw her and I met her sister at this donor walk. And when she said she was in recovery and that she was sober, I knew I had to sit and talk to this woman, because I know what the journey of recovery is. I know it's not easy. And I know it's one day at a time. And from this day forward, from the bottom of my heart, I want you to know I will always be there. And you can call me. Without recovery, I would never have met you. And this mission to share with people watching this right now has become tenfold more today from interviewing your sister and you, and hearing the story has made Vital Vessels. I know this is my mission, to spread the word of organ donation. This is an organ recipient that is saving. She is going to go forward in her life and share her story of recovery and hope and save other people's lives, because we do that in two ways. We do this through living organ donation, but we also do it through 12-step recovery. And that is the beauty of this. There's people that are hearing this message, and I want people who are watching to know that if you're struggling with addiction of any kind, that there's hope. There is recovery. And even if you're really sick, there is still recovery and hope. And we are two people sharing that journey today. If you could talk to someone that was sitting on the waiting list, waiting for a liver or any other organ, what advice would you give them?
It's just all worth it. Every bit of it. And the life that you lead after is so much more fulfilling.
If an organ donor, someone who's considering it, wondering what it's about, what message would you tell them about organ donation?
Oh my God, all of it is the most rewarding part of my life I think I've ever been a part of.
I'm telling you what.
It is hands down the most meaningful thing. Not only do I share the organ donation part, but, my story, because I'm like, and I will say this, never have I ever felt judged going to that liver clinic.
Not once.
Nope. Even when I was in the hospital,
right,
I was going to get fired from my job the next day, and my CFO showed up.
Yeah.
And was like, Glenda, whatever you need.
There is hope.
Will be waiting for you.
There is
hope.
There
is recovery.
And you can find recovery. So a double message here today. If you're healthy and you are feeling that, how can I help humankind? Get in there and follow the link that I've got on my site to apply to be a living organ donor. And if you're struggling with addiction of any kind, reach out, because there are people like us that will take that phone call, and we will talk to you, and we will share our story, and we'll walk you through one day at a time on how to find recovery and how we did it. I want to thank you for watching this interview with Glenda. She's the good witch. I just want to say I am honored and blessed to have met you and have been able to bring you right here to this interview chair to talk about something I am so passionate about, and it's organ donation. So living organ donation saves lives. And if you are not a donor on your driver's license, go check that box. And thank you for watching Vital Vessels. Bye.